Today, we are going to be doing a review. It is not sponsored. I got this flute, which is not even actually a flute, from a friend. Hello, Chris. He owns a 3D printer. He thought it would be hilarious if he printed me a flute. Fun fact, because I always include fun facts in my reviews. There's so many tiny little pieces in like the rods and the mechanism and the little pins and stuff like that. Lots of little tiny little pieces here. When they're 3D printed, it can get really clunky. I do know that there is a 3D flute that is being developed. I don't know how far in the development it is, but may I present to you the recorder slash fife that my dear friend Chris printed for me. Behold this beauty. When I first looked at this, I was like, are you freaking serious? How am I supposed to blow into that circular hole? Like, what even it? That even my camera does not know what it's looking at. It's almost like this thing is ribbed. Okay, that's not the terminology I really should use for a cylindrical object. These are the tone holes. If you're familiar with recorders, this is exactly a recorder experience that we have going on here. This is a conical instrument, so it is shaped like a cone, essentially. This top part here is wider than this bottom part here. So like if I pop this off, you see how big this is? Huge difference, right? Basically, the tuning of this is very reminiscent of like Baroque flutes. The head joint here is very loose, so Chris actually put some tape around here, which actually coincidentally is a legit trick that people use to try head joints on, you know, different flutes. It's not a permanent fix, it's more of a temporary trying instrument sort of thing. If you guys were looking for packaging and what comes with the instrument, a sandwich baggie. Yes, it does come with a recorder head joint as well, so you can play the same thing on here. You can kind of tell that this was 3D printed with this head joint in mind. This is a very tight fit with the tape on. All the joints are quite rickety. Can you see that kind of like, it's very loose. It was sitting in a very hot car for a very long day. So it might have melted slightly is what I'm saying. That may be why the joints are kind of rickety. That may not entirely be the fault of the pattern. When you play it, you almost feel like it's bowing under the pressure of your fingers. When I was watching John play this, I don't know if you can tell, but like if you put a certain amount of pressure on it, it's kind of as if the whole thing bows like this because it's so rickety. That part feels a little bit, you know, precarious. We're gonna try to get this to seal more properly, so I'm actually going to take some tape. Some of the tape has worn off now, so it's like kind of like weirdly sticky. All right, come on. Oh, it is actually a little better. Oh, that's surprising. Here we go. I could not get a sound out of this for the longest time. I think it has to do with the fact that this is such a circular lip hole. For those of you who are not familiar with how lip holes on flutes are supposed to be shaped, it's supposed to look more like this. Ovally rectangle. That's the difference, guys. I tried to like feel the edge of the lip hole against my bottom lip as normal, but you can't make a sound out of it when you do that. You can make a very thin sound. At first I was sounding like this. Eventually, I had to just play so rolled out that I can't even feel the hole against my lips. Yeah, see, now I can like reliably do it because I know how rolled out it has to be. I'm literally like looking at the head joint. I don't know if you caught me doing that, but I'm looking at the head joint and then I'm like memorizing where it needs to go on my lips and then just like trusting that it's gonna happen. I know that Chris sent me like a full list of the specs. I'm just gonna read it out to you guys. I don't necessarily know what all of this means. The printer that he used for this is the original Prusa i3 MK3 kit by www.prusa3d.com. The model is created by YouTuber named Mr. Joe Says, also known as the 3D printing professor. Mr. Joe Says, if you are watching this, hello. These are the settings that Chris used for the printer. The material is AMZ 3D gold PLA. The temperature is at 210 Celsius. The bed temperature is at 60 Celsius. The layer height is at 0.2 millimeters. The infill percentage is at 50%. The infill type is rectilinear. The approximate print time for this was 7 hours and 28 minutes. So this baby basically took all night. That sounds real wrong. Using slicer, spelled with a 3, Prusa edition. Chris also sent me like his experience printing this thing. So his initial attempt to print was a failure. The cause of failure, unplanned detachment from print surface at approximately 2 hours and 45 minutes into print based on height comparison of failed print. Took failed print and measured the height. Printer tells you what layer height it is currently working on. The result is spaghetti. The second attempt to print was successful. The final time was 7 hours and 15 minutes. So this actually printed a little faster than expected. Removal from print bed was no problem. Brim separation, also no problem. You end up having like all these pieces sticking out of like what looks like to be one sheet of plastic, and then you have to basically break the pieces off of that sheet. Oh, so this is his attempt. Attempt to assemble and play instrument with both the regular and fife heads. It appears that some parts are much too loose, as I noted. This does not indicate that the printer is not calibrated properly. Model appears to have been designed with a less precise machine in mind. So Chris recommends using some sort of material to help tighten the fit between joints, hence the sticky tape. Sticky tape to increase the diameter of the inner joint appears to be effective. Yes, it is. We legitimately use that in the flute world. Attempted to play the instrument, did not succeed, but definitely made noise come out of the thing. He got better though. I ended up actually kind of teaching him a little bit of like flute embouchure over Discord. Now that you guys know the specs, now it's time for me to actually play around with it. I have not actually tried doing harmonics on this thing, so we're gonna try it now. That is really out of tune. Oh my gosh, that's supposed to be a C. I can't get it higher than that. Okay, this actually does follow sort of the universal rules of playing the flute. The lower the note is, the more forward it is in your mouth, and the higher the note is, the more back it is in your mouth. But this kind of plays like a piccolo, so it's everything truncated. Usually for the piccolo, it's truncated like more sideways. Everything is tinier, but in like proportion to the flute, if that makes sense. But here, I feel like the lower the note is, the more it's kind of sitting down here, but like really like far forward, so around like my bottom lip. The middle register is like in the middle-ish here, but further back, so like nearer to my teeth. And then the higher notes go upward like at a really sharp incline. So the highest notes are actually kind of like behind my teeth against the roof of my mouth, but at like the front of the roof of my mouth. Maybe that has to do with how this lip hole is constructed. So everything is like really far forward. So if you were to play with the back of your mouth or even the middle of your mouth on this thing, it's just not gonna come out. Let's noodle around a little bit. I need to look up these fingerings. I actually looked up fingerings, like last night, I think. So I'm just gonna call those up right now. That's supposed to be a half step, but it's whoa, it's going real sharp. I think the F is a forked F, which means that this is how you finger it. so I need to correct the pitch like crazy. Something like that, guys. I have no patience for this. Where does my thumb go? Because this thing is so freaking tiny. Like, I'm not actually resting my, like, the side of my index finger against this. So it's like, how do I even hold this if I'm not holding down the thumb key? Or thumb tone hole, that is. And then there's half hole business. I've never reached that high before. That's an A sharp. Yeah, can't reach it anymore. Ooh, came out a little bit. You can hear like whispers of the B and the C, but like I don't think I can get that out. Yeah, I think reliably the highest note I can get out is an A6, A5. I can't get out higher than that. That's not happening. That's me noodling around. I can't noodle around on this thing the way I normally noodle around on my flute. I can't even end this. There we go. That's enough noodling around. Yeah, that's enough. Tone color. Do you guys think I can do tone color on this? Okay, let's see. You can, in fact. You just have to go like full bullfrog for like a richer tone, and then you just kind of like scoop it up. Imagine you're blowing through like a really tiny straw, sort of like in the middle of your mouth for like a hollower tone. Cool. So now we're gonna do dynamics. It's what we were talking about before, how like, you know, everything happens up front. For forte, you have to envision everything just opening up, but only at the front of your mouth. You do kind of feel like you have to go. For piano, you basically just like close your mouth as much as you can while still being able to like make a sound. Yeah, I'm literally just going, wow, I just sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger there. Now for mechanism, there is no mechanism. It's just a bunch of holes. I'm going to attempt the scale in thirds. I have to end it early because I cannot go further down to the low B. I'm realizing now that these are actually really small holes, so it does actually feel kind of nice to me. Plus, I don't feel like I have to stretch my hands too much because this is a pretty tiny instrument. Wow, I totally have all the tone holes. Take a look at that. Oh boy. So now we are on articulation. Oh boy, we're gonna single tongue. So it occurred to me while I was doing that, because I was saying how everything is happening up here. So that's why my tonguing sounds so thumpy on this one, is because no matter how far forward I try to make my tongue go, it's not far forward enough for this thing. This is a pretty universal thing on all flutes. It's like if you hear that thumping sound when you're tonguing on the flute, usually it means your tongue is too far back. Let's try somewhere between French tonguing, which is from between your lips, and then what I term as faux French tonguing, which is between your teeth. I think it helps somewhat. I wouldn't say a lot though. I think you just have to go so light that you feel like you're almost not tonguing. Yeah, I think that's the trick. Now we're gonna try double tonguing. Same idea, ta-ka, ta-ka, ta-ka. That's what I'm doing. It's so light that you feel like you're not even really doing that. You feel like you're kind of slurring it all together, like yeah, you just have to feel like you're almost not doing it. You're just barely grazing between your teeth for the T part of the articulation, and like as far forward on the roof of your mouth as possible for the K part of your tongue. It's like a lazy da-ga. Da-ga is already a lazy version of ta-ka. Like you're not even really fully forming the articulation at all. Yeah, that's what works. That's my review. I did not review this guy because I am not a recorder player. Team Recorder, if you ever happen to be watching this, I challenge you to review this. It works. That is my conclusion. Does it work well? There definitely can be improvements. The joints need to be fitted together a lot better. The head joint needs a lot of work. The lip hole itself is nowhere near any kind of correct lip hole shape. It really should not be circular. I don't see why you can't print a lip plate on this thing. Like, you should be able to print a lip plate with a more oblong lip hole so that you can actually feel where it is. Because like literally every time I play for you guys, I'm just like 100% going by memorization of where it should be, because I'm not actually feeling the lip hole against me at all, which is like the most disconcerting feeling ever. I feel like I'm playing like this. I don't feel anything. The tuning is also quite off. It's very bad. That's straight up. I was using a tuner and I noticed that there's like, ooh, you know, it's really off. Regardless of the fact that I have a lot of criticisms for this thing, I'm very impressed. If you do not have a 3D printer, or if you do not have a friend who has a 3D printer, I don't really know how you can get your hands on something like this. It's really fun to play around with though, if you can. Before we end though, I do want to do my signature. I tried. I give up. If you want to see more from me, more of my normal stuff, go ahead, click that subscribe button and click the bell icon, because the subscribe button is actually kind of broken. If you like this video, make sure you give me a big thumbs up. My last video is playing right over there, which I will put a link to up here for you guys. I am on Patreon, so if you want to hang out with me there, I'm there live streaming about every other week or so. But otherwise, I will see you guys next week. Bye. I'm gonna be completely real with you right now. I am so tired. Pro tip, maybe don't be involved in 2 weddings in 1 weekend.